Debt distress. Paris summit offers hope to developing countries.
They can put a price on carbon and end fossil fuel subsidies and repurpose what is gained with those measures towards sustainable and productive uses.
Le secrétaire général des Nations Unies avait raison.
Oil and gas, toute moral and economic
dépenses supplémentaires.
Federal government and partners renew commitments to end variant polio virus in the country.
We are committed to eradicating the variant polio virus by the end of this year.
Plus, State House says no presidential approval for salary increase for political office holders and judicial officers. Hello and welcome to NTA Network News. We're reaching you live from Abuja. I am Jummai Yusuf. Hingino John Adams joins me from our Lagos Network Center. You can follow these news broadcasts live on our website at nta.ng/live or all our social media handles displayed on your screen. It is a new vista of hope for developing countries as agreements to relieve debt distress and access financing for sustainable development programs takes off in Paris, France. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Usman Jibril reports that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is among world leaders attending the summit.
It was a rainy day here in Paris, but world leaders from the globe, north and south, arrived Palais Bonnier in the French capital to network and lay foundation for a new system in tackling shared challenges. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu joined world leaders on the consensus for redesigning the global financial architecture, which will favor poverty reduction, debt restructuring or cancellation, and more consideration for vulnerable countries affected by climate change and COVID-19.
Je veux aussi remercier Cher Mia, la Première ministre.
French President Emmanuel Macron said African countries had been at the receiving end of the major global challenges with debt hangovers that hamper growth and development.
Ensuite, notamment à l'accord de Paris sur le climat.
President of Niger Republic, Mohamed Bazoum, who spoke on behalf of African countries, said the new pact must be urgent and essential to Africa, and the framework should reflect the realities of developing countries as partners.
Avec des séquelles terribles.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres told the gathering of leaders that the high-level summit will need more mobilization and political will for redesign and implementation. Climate activist Vanessa Nakate from Uganda called for a moment of silence for the helpless across the world, attributing broken promises have cost the lives of many in developing nations.
Help make the inevitable happen now.
Vous devez et vous pouvez faire en sorte que cela se fasse maintenant plutôt que d'attendre. Pendant que ce sommet se tient, des gens meurent. Le petit garçon que j'ai rencontré à Kanakaunti en est mort. Le secrétaire général des Nations Unies avait raison. Dépenses supplémentaires en faveur des carburants fossiles n'est qu'une folie.
The presidents and leaders of multilateral institutions and the private sector at the summit went into syndicate sessions to discuss the new financial architecture. From the French capital, Paris, Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
Meanwhile, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres is proposing a sustainable development goals stimulus of $500 billion per year for investment in sustainable development and climate action. Onengie Fineface reports that the UN scribe speaking at the Paris summit on a new global financing pact says this is part of concrete steps global leaders can take now to re-examine and reconfigure the global financial architecture.
International financial systems in crisis, laments United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who notes that halfway to the 2030 deadline, the Sustainable Development Goals are drifting further away by the day. It is clear, he says, that the international financial architecture has failed in its mission to provide a global safety net for developing countries. But as the world works for the deep reforms that are needed, leaders can take urgent action today to meet the urgent needs of developing and emerging economies.
And they can put a price on carbon and end fossil fuel subsidies and repurpose what is gained with those measures towards sustainable and productive uses. And the list of things we can do now can go on and on and on.
The UN scribe wants world leaders to establish a time-effective debt relief mechanism that supports payment suspensions, longer lending terms and lower rates, including for middle-income countries with particular vulnerabilities in relation to climate. Developed economies, he suggests, should scale up development and climate finance by increasing the capital base and changing the business model of multilateral development banks. Taken together, he believes these steps would help to beat poverty and hunger, uplift developing and emerging economies, and support investments in health, education, and climate action. Onengiye Fine Face, NTA.
Back home, concerns surrounding proper financing of primary healthcare system in Nigeria will be adequately addressed by the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. Vice President Kashim Shettima gave the assurance during a meeting with state governors and development partners on how to end circulating variant polio virus in the country. Adeni Taiwo reports.
In 2020, Nigeria, to the relief of many, was declared wild polio virus free, a result of concerted efforts by the 3 tiers of government and development partners. However, another variant, circulating polio virus 2, is still a public health concern, with disturbing prevalence in about 3 states of the Federation. This meeting between Vice President Kashim Shettima, state governors under the banner of the Nigeria Governors Forum, and development partners, including Aliko Dangote and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundations, is one in the series of many engagements that will see to the end of the scourge in the country. The way to go, according to the Vice President, is to build a united front against the virus.
We have gathered here today because we do not wish to think to the depths brought about by a virus. And we can't guarantee such a future easily if the occupants of this room, who have promised to work with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, are invested in this grand vision of a healthy nation. If we are not united to fight the wild polio virus, we wouldn't have been able to bear the batch of defeating it in 2016. This is why we are committed to eradicating the variant polio virus by the end of this year, and ensuring that every Nigerian child is covered in our routine immunization campaigns.
Acknowledging the contributions of field workers in the area of data collection and development partners for providing resources, the Vice President assured that the Bola Tinubu-led government will stay the course in the fight against the spread of the circulating variant polio.
We are not only fighting diseases, but also countering the conspiracy theories of those committed to hijacking our interventions. Our inspiration to remain on track is the millions of people who will die needlessly because of mischief mongers embark on a war against science.
Taking submissions from governors, the meeting appraised peculiar situations across states of the Federation.
Zamfara is one of the states we are facing polio challenge as well as cholera. So it's a major thing, and we're working hand in hand with our partners to make sure polio and cholera are eradicated in Zamfara State.
Apart from its avowed target of ending circulating variant polio virus in the country, hopefully by the end of this year, this formal interaction between the Vice President, state governors, and development partners also has the potential to drive a complete system overhaul of the health sector in the country. In the State House, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
Thank you, Adeni. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, is urging Britain to ease visa regulations affecting Nigerian students in the UK as he solicits for stronger bilateral relations between both countries. The SGF was speaking when he received the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, David Montgomery. Kenneth Nanim tells us more.
Nigeria and Britain have enjoyed mutual bilateral relations in various sectors over the years. The visit to the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation by the British High Commissioner to Nigeria is to streamline areas of interest by the new administration for robust bilateral ties that will be beneficial to both countries. The SGF was quick to point to job creation, agriculture, energy, security and education as areas requiring more support from the British government to realize the cardinal objectives of the Tinubu-led administration.
If you ask Nigerians what they want to go for education, they will say Britain. That's the love we have for you. It's the mutual. And why you can give us scholarship to it, at the end of the day, this bond will be stronger. Today, you have Boko Haram, you have all this. There are so many conspiracy theories on the issue of Boko Haram. And sometimes I say, where is Britain? If that is true, where is Britain?
The British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Richard Montgomery, is certain of the working relationship between both countries, acknowledging President Tinubu's political will to take tough decisions he believes will push Nigeria to the path of progress and development.
The fact that you are a major democracy makes you more and more important in global geopolitics, and we would like to strengthen our foreign policy dialogue so we understand your priorities, your interests, your perspectives better. I will do my best to try and make sure we seize the opportunities that these reforms will create in due course.
The British High Commissioner is also appreciative of the role of the Office of the SGF in terms of projects and programs coordination and implementation. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Now, the federal government says it has followed with dismay the viral story of the purported 114% increase in the salaries of the president, vice president, elected federal and state political office holders and judicial officers. A statement by the special advisor to the president on special duties, communications and strategy, Dele Alake, debunks the story, stating that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has not approved any salary increase and no such proposals has been brought before him for consideration. The presidency, the statement adds, recognizes that it is within the constitutional remit of Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission to propose and fix salaries and allowances of political office holders and judicial officers, and such cannot come to effect until it has equally been considered and approved by the President. Alake said it is important to note that the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, through its public relations manager, has already set the record straight on the fake story. Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation says it is committed to upholding the highest standards in implementing the rewards and recognition scheme to prompt innovation and dedication in the civil service. Haman Jabani was at a workshop on the implementation of the scheme and now reports.
The Reward and Recognition Scheme was established in 2019 to serve as a motivational tool to encourage excellence and human capital development for career progression and performance-driven reward system that are in the MDAs. The convergence of these human resources management and staff welfare officers is to strengthen the implementation of the scheme in the Federal Civil Service for transparency, merit, and uniformity in the selection process for standardization.
Thus, the application of the new performance management system PMS will be instrumental in the implementation to ensure the civil servants are held responsible in the discharge of their duties.
The scope of the R&RS covered three major categories: Wide Award and Recognition Scheme, MDA's Reward and Recognition Scheme and Departmental Reward and Recognition Scheme with consideration of the 5 core values of the service that include accountability, meritocracy, professionalism, loyalty, and efficiency. The scheme will help in the implementation of performance management system where civil servants will be held accountable in the discharge of their duties. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
Time now for a break. More news when we return. Do stay with NTA. You're welcome back. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the February 25th election, Atiku Abubakar, in continuation of his evidence presentation before the Presidential Election Petition Court Thursday, called his 26th witness, who is a forensic expert. Judicial correspondent Austin Anyebe reports.
Giving evidence was the 26th witness by name Hitler Unwala, who said that he is a digital forensic analyst. He tendered 7 volumes of forensic reports and analysis on findings arrived at after carrying out investigation on the functionality of 110 beavers and IRF devices in the Federal Capital Territory through Chris Uche, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. This was after adopting his statement, which is his evidence in the petition. The reports were admitted in evidence by the court, but not without being objected to by counsel to INEC, President Bola Tinubu, and All Progressive Congress. During cross-examination, the witness held that results were deleted from the devices investigated, but counsel to INEC Abubakar Mahmoud told him that his analysis of 110 beavers machines out of the 3,163 deployed to the FCT on the day of election was just 3.5% and 0.06% of total number of beavers deployed nationwide. Counsel to President Bola Tinubu sought to know whether he was aware that Labour Party won by 67% of total votes cast in the FCT. He said yes. Counsel to All Progressive Congress, Lateef Fagbemi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, cross-examining the witness, pointed out some errors in a report tendered, which he said rendered his work inaccurate. But the witness said errors noted were typographical. The petitioners raising to close their case also tendered certified true copies of Forms EC8As. Meanwhile, the 8th witness, called by the presidential candidate of Labour Party, Peter Obi, in continuation of his evidence before the court, Chibuike Obuke, who earlier gave a cyber security report on the workability of INEC beavers and IRF, was cross-examined by the respondent's counsel. Asked whether he was aware that International Standard Organization certification, ISO, is not a statutory requirement for INEC, the witness said it is a minimum requirement underneath the Act. Counsel to President Bola Tinubu, Wole Olanipeku, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, also drew his attention to Anambra and Bauchi states, that Labour Party and PDP won in those states, which he said he was not aware. Peter Obi also called his 11th witness by name Emmanuel Edet, Supin from NIDA. The witness was asked by counsel to Obi whether he is in possession of letters or correspondences between INEC and NIDA on INEC's state of ICT infrastructure before the conduct of the February election. He said no. Respondent counsel urged the court to discountenance any statement given by the witness for improper procedure. The court ordered the respondents to take care of their objections in their final written addresses. Further hearing continues on the petition on Friday, 23rd June 2023. From the Court of Appeal, Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has deployed 115 mission observers, one of the largest of its mission for the Sierra Leone general elections due to hold this Saturday. Our correspondent Charles Alpha reports from Freetown.
There has been a bit of anxiety in the air in the last few days, and what the ECOWAS election observation mission is doing as part of its mandate is to douse the tension and steady the tides of the democracy that is making steady progress in Sierra Leone. First was the meeting of its election observers, members of the National Security, representatives of the Political Party Regulations Commission and the African Union.
So as Africans, we want Sierra Leone to conduct a peaceful, democratic, fair and free election.
Head of mission Mohammed Ibn Chambers believes Sierra Leone has long moved from bullets to exercising power of the ballot and wants stakeholders to consolidate on these gains since the country's independence by deepening the peace and, more importantly, provide equal grounds for all to exercise their voting rights.
The last few days, we saw a rise in tension. The opposition raised some issues that were of concern to them, but there was efforts by national institutions to engage in mediation between the opposition and the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone in particular.
Now, 5 successive elections since the Sierra Leonean War in 2002. The ECOWAS election observation mission shows the level of progress that this country has made in the last few years. And they are now asking critical stakeholders not to allow the tension that has been brewing among state actors in the past few days to escalate going into this Saturday's general election. From Freetown, Sierra Leone, Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Thank you, Charles. Now, coalition of civil society organizations for Tinubu and Shettima has appealed to the candidates of the opposing political parties to withdraw their litigations and help to build a government of national unity. At a media briefing in Abuja, the coalition reaffirmed that the victory and success of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is for all Nigerians. Saliu Abdullahi Gwanara reports.
Members of the coalition have paraded themselves as ambassadors of the government of renewed hope, which they believe is taking the right steps towards accelerated relief and reassurance of hope for Nigeria and entire African continent. President Bola Tinubu's action plans executed so far, the group agree, are a clear evidence to promote a government of national unity.
The goal here is to put Nigeria on the path of prosperity, and this is what the president is doing already. Now that we have the government that they would have wished to give to Nigerians, I think it will only be fair and selfless for them to come and synergize with him, merge force with him, so that we can move Nigeria to the level where it ought to be.
The group was emphatic that President Bola Tinubu is already displaying potentials to reunite, revitalize, renew and reposition Nigeria for breakthrough to an uninterrupted era of progress and prosperity. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the National Association of Persons with Disability has made a passionate appeal to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for more inclusion of its members in governance. The association says the population of disability communities and the strategic role played during the 2023 general elections were enough to earn its place of pride in the present administration.
In Nigeria, we have at least 31 million persons with disability here in Nigeria. So we are looking for His Excellency to look at our population. We want to have a fully representation in the issue of governing of this country. We don't want other people to represent us because he who wears shoes knows where it fences.
The association appreciates the leadership of the Commission of Persons Living with Disabilities and urged federal government to initiate more reforms that will engender better welfare and greater participation of its members. The National Union of Air Transport Employees has threatened to shut down all airports in the country if the proposed concession of some airports is allowed to go on. The national president of the union, Nabwe Ben, stated this at a protest at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, aimed at showing displeasure over the process of the concession of some airports a few months ago. The union insists that all labor issues must first be settled and guidelines adhered to before concessions should take place.
We are pleading with government to change their mind about this airport concession. We want the airport to be developed. Why we are not at war with MM2 because of the terminal concession is because they built it themselves and they hired Nigeria. We should build new terminals instead of concessioning the existing terminal. According to the law, you cannot carry out a concession without resolving labor issues. And nobody, the concessionaire or
any organized form have the labor issues been discussed and agreed upon at this point in time.
To security matters, the Acting Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, says the Tinubu administration expects a higher level of loyalty, courage and professionalism to move the force to enviable heights. The new police boss also acknowledged efforts of top officers who made the force proud in the line of duty. Francis Fong reports.
Lately, Warri in Delta State recorded some security challenges, which makes it difficult for the indigents to observe festivities in an atmosphere of peace. But today, the people of Warri can sleep with their eyes closed, thanks to the officers and men of the Nigeria Police Force, under Muazu Mohammed as area commander, for successfully restoring peace in the area. Today, Mohammed and other senior officers who made the force proud are decorated with their new ranks.
I will never allow this, my catalog of good records, to have some cracks. I'm going to redouble my effort in fighting crime. I'm going to, as the IG said, I will chase the criminals like a tiger.
I want to pledge on behalf of all of us our absolute and unalloyed loyalty to the Inspector General of Police.
Reward for hard work, they say, is more work. Acting IGP Kayode Egbetokun reminded the officers that most of them will be deployed to critical duty posts where their strength of character and professionalism will be optimally put to test.
You must be prepared to discharge the schedules of your new rank within the dictates of the rule of law and expectations of the citizens. Demonstrate exceptional critical thinking ability, high strategic management and operational capacity.
Deputy President of the Senate, governors of Imo and Akwa Ibom State call on senior officers to do more for their service to the country.
Face the problem frontally and deal with it so that we can have a peaceful country and a country that will have economic buoyancy.
About 2 DIGs, 14 AIGs, 22 CPs were decorated. Francis from NTA News.
We're now enjoying Hingino in our Lagos Network Center for more news from that axis. Hello, Hingino.
Stakeholders in the telecommunications industry have converged on Lagos to brainstorm on ways to combat the menace of e-fraud being committed through telecom networks in the country. The Executive Vice Chairman, Nigerian Communications Commission, says operators must comply with the existing policies and legal frameworks to ensure security of their networks for the consumers.
In recent years, the growth of the telecommunications sector in Nigeria has been remarkable. With increasing access to mobile phones and internet connectivity, the industry has witnessed a surge in digital transactions, making lives more convenient and efficient. However, this rapid expansion has also opened new avenues for criminals to exploit unsuspecting individuals through various forms of electronic fraud. The forum provides an opportunity for stakeholders, including telecom operators, financial institutions, law enforcement agencies, government bodies, and concerned citizens to collaborate and devise effective strategies to combat e-fraud.
This forum serves as a platform to share best practices, exchange knowledge, and explore innovative solutions to stay ahead of the ever-evolving tactics employed by fraudsters.
We intend to propose a new approach on combating e-fraud on the telecommunication platforms and ways of building consumer confidence.
Executive Vice Chairman NCC Professor Umar Nambata re-emphasized the need for telecom operators to be proactive in prioritizing security measures on their networks.
Mobile network operators equally incorporate in their networks measures to guard against cybersecurity and erosion of safety and security.
This is the second quarter of Industry Consumer Advisory 2023 Open Forum to highlight pertinent issues in the industry.
The The VAT Direct initiative of the Federal Inland Revenue Service is complementing efforts to block leakages while incorporating more Nigerians into the tax net. As a way of facilitating rapid results, the agency is collaborating with Market Traders Association of Nigeria with the hope of bringing on board 40 million Nigerians from the non-formal sector. Joel Popola reports.
Three-day engagement with members of the Market Traders Association of Nigeria and other key partners is to ensure all stakeholders are on the same page for seamless payment of tax. The chairman, FIRS Muhammad Nami, says the VDI is technology-driven with a monitoring and evaluation team to be set up to ensure each free collection of the revenue in various markets.
Is going to ensure transparency and accountability. Our in-house developed software called Tax Pro Max is going to have direct interface with the technology to be deployed for purpose of enumeration, for purpose of payment of the VAT, and for purpose of reporting the VAT to be collected on a daily basis. We want to believe the value addition is going to move our tax to GDP going forward.
The VAT Direct initiative, according to the director in charge of VAT, eliminates multiple taxation and ensure all taxes are directly paid to the coffers of government, unlike the old system which is bedeviled with several loopholes. Hence, many traders pay their taxes to unauthorized persons, which affects the revenue base of government. As partners in progress, the Market Traders Association of Nigeria promised to enlighten members on the need for prompt payment of tax.
We will tell our people the lesson we got from these people now. Then they say that if it's either you pay by monthly or by weekly, and the tax is very, very low.
Tax experts agreed that the initiative will improve the tax to GDP ratio in line with global best practice. In Lagos, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time for some messages. We will be back shortly.
Thanks for rejoining us. Removal of fuel subsidy and streamlining exchange rate will be sustained for a more competitive economy to attract foreign direct investment. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila reports that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu gave the assurance when he met with the African Export-Import Bank and European Bank for the Construction and Development presidents in Paris, urging other investors to take advantage of the opportunities.
On the sidelines of the summit for new global financing, President Bola Tinubu in separate meetings assured the delegation to stimulate the economy with policies that support investment in areas of Nigeria's competitive advantage, particularly agriculture. With reforms for national survival, the federal government will take courage to reposition the economy, calling for more collaboration to solidify the economy. Afrexim Bank President commended President Tinubu for the bold step in removing the fuel subsidy and unification of the exchange rate.
We also then looked at what support we could continue to give to businesses and banks under the environment, and as well as to NNPC as they implement the new pricing regime for oil products. He reaffirmed the support of the government of Nigeria for the bank and also for continued active engagement with us. So we are really very pleased with that because it paves the way for us to continue to do what we are doing in the country.
The European Bank for the Construction and Development President, Ronald Basso, said the bank will focus on the private sector, especially small and medium-scale enterprises. From the French capital, Paris, Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
Meanwhile, fast-tracking nation building became the focal point at the 2023 Annual Marketing Conference of the National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria. Bosede Ebel reports that the actualization of the theme is key for businesses trying to cope with the dynamism of technology towards national and economic development.
Marketing experts say, as a choice profession, marketing is significant for repositioning the market brand space. Deliberating on the use of digital marketing strategies as a support base for the promotion of sales of goods, services and national development, this conference emphasizes the place of marketing as well as ethics in nation building to achieve appreciable growth going forward.
Unethical marketing practice cannot be permitted to influence or determine the direction of professional objectives.
One significant issue is the prevalence of corruption, which has had a negative impact on the country's reputation.
Panelists in interaction were unanimous in the submission that customer satisfaction for businesses and brands is a top priority in the practice.
We want to, as marketers, help provide some insights in governance, in thinking. We'll begin to showcase how we can, jointly help facilitate this process as marketers.
We have to follow the principles of practicing this marketing, the ethics. These are rules that guide us.
The values that we're talking about today, abide by the ethical conduct, abide by your ethical code, do the right thing.
It's time for us to tell the story, to tell how good we are in terms of good things that Nigeria can do.
These professionals affirm that service is key and that the country will become even better if marketers recognize and take their place in nation building. In Abuja, Bosede Ebo, NTA News.
For more on business news, let's join Benny Adams. Hello, Benny.
Thank you, Jumai. And still talking business, we start with an inquiry. Are you a furniture maker or a facility without production of garment, or you're a garment maker without a facility for production, or you have a good product with poor packaging? The good news is the federal government, through its MSMEs agency, SMEDAN, says you don't need to invest your hard-earned capital into having a workshop, as SMEDAN is establishing common facility centers across the country, in addition to connecting small businesses to markets to ease the impact of the fuel subsidy removal.
Highly subsidized because government has invested a lot. We need to be able to recover some of the costs so that we'll be able to do more. In Panteka, in Kaduna, we already have common facility for auto mechanics. In Nunewi, we have for some other group. In Lagos, we already have a product packaging facility at our Ikorodu IDC. In Katsina, we also have for garment making. So we want to come up with a broad guideline, but definitely it's going to be properly structured.
And media has been commended for supporting the plight of pensioners and ensuring that the campaign for transparency and the inclusion of the day-to-day business owner into the savings net for better life at all age is guaranteed.
With its attendant interest accruals, the returns on such investments were never declared.
A Pension Correspondents Association of Nigeria converged to garner support for the plight of pensioners as they continue to decry the stringent conditions in accessing pension funds, delay in payment of death benefits, among other challenges.
A platform for you to save for the rainy day.
Contributors in micro pension scheme is 93,225 contributors, meaning that we still have a lot to do.
The micro pension plan being advocated allows individuals working in organizations with fewer than 3 employees and 7 employed individuals to voluntarily participate in the contributory pension scheme and save for their retirement and emergencies. And a quick look at the market at the end of transactions today on the exchange. A total of 615.9 million shares in 7,459 deals, corresponding to a market value of 6.619 billion naira, were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, Wednesday, today's data shows 4% decline in volume, 8% improvement in turnover, but 4% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 32.2 trillion naira. Wapik Insurance recorded the highest volume of traded shares, followed by United Bank for Africa and Universal Insurance Company. That is Business News. Network News continues with Jomai.
International Electoral Commission has held its regular meeting this Thursday, 22nd June 2023, and resolved to conduct a post-election review of the 2023 general elections in line with its practice over the years. A statement by National Commissioner and Chairman Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, says the review will involve the Commission's officials at national and state levels, as well as stakeholders, with a view to share lessons from the past election and chart a way forward. He added that the review will commence with a meeting of all resident electoral commissioners, RECs, which will hold on 4th July 2023 and end with the Commission's retreat on 5th August 2023. At state level, the internal review will involve the Commission's regular and ad hoc staff, including RECs, the 774 electoral officers, heads of departments, administrative secretaries, as well as some presiding officers and collation returning officers. However, the external engagement will involve critical stakeholders such as political parties, security agencies, election observers, the media and service providers. He noted that the detailed schedule of the activities and timelines will be released immediately after the meeting with RECs on 4th July 2023. Experts in management of substance abuse recommend strong involvement of communities, religious bodies, among other relevant actors in the implementation of policies and interventions pertaining to drug law enforcement. This is the thrust of discourse as National Drug Law Enforcement Agency made public presentation of a book on drugs as part of events marking the 2023 International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. Olushe Adebo has details.
The Last Syndicate is a fictional narrative which exposed the crimes committed by traffickers in the business of illicit drugs. It explains how the criminals met their Waterloo and the aftermath of an horrible ending in the underworld of narcotics. The book is divided into 3 parts of 23 chapters, and Michael Ufeju, a frontline officer in tracking down drug barons who authors the book, believes that his thoughts after years of experience will help in the control and management of drug abuse in Nigeria.
Substance abuse has taken a toll on public health, and it is a habit that is disguised in form of recreational gaps.
His talks highlight strategies with several campaigns of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency in getting people involved and winning the war against drug abuse.
The gap that has over the years existed between those who are struggling with substance abuse and the treatment they needed, that gap has been bridged.
To widen the book's audience, there are plans to translate it into other works of art, especially movies and drama. In Abuja, Oluseye Adiagbo, NTA.
That's NTA Network News tonight. Thanks so much for your time. I am Jumai Yusuf.